because if we think that editing the video will take more time than just so we opted for the solution like Rex creating a link that will present the data from the covered period of the audit. So Rex was able to do it, to create this link for only April to June data. But as we are trying to double check if the data in that June analytics match the data in the documentation that we have are accurate, and we saw some some differences. So it took us a while to review and make sure that everything is accurate, because yeah. So I thought that in the future, because for me, I wasn't. I also had to ask NT a few times if everything is correct, because I'm not very involved in the TC anymore. So I thought that maybe in the future audit we can do more collaborative review of the audit as a team, instead of only me or you doing the reviews of the audit, and before we present it to the community. So yeah, and then about the report, I haven't posted it in the forum because we weren't able to sync on that part. Like I don't know how we want to present it in the forum, but I shared the link with Mount Money to include it in the newsletter. Or I don't know if it's in the newsletter or the weekly updates, but yeah, I didn't post it in the forum because I'm not sure how to do it. So yeah, those are my updates. I don't know. And NT, do you have anything to add?
Not really. That was pretty accurate. Um, you know, it was there was a lot of people out anyway, so this was a we had to review the audit a few times, etc., etc. And it would be really great if we could, moving forward, um, have a more structured way um, to just fact check the whole audit before it goes out. Because at least this time around, we had to do it. We had to do some reviews, like we had to do 2 or 3 reviews where we could have done just one once. What else? Um, well, there's the events bot thing that I have shared a few times, but we were waiting for you to come back and just see how can we work that out. And let me see if there's anything else. Um, no, I don't think so. I think that's all. That's all. Hey, Bear, I don't know if you want to chime in.
Yeah, intentions and distraction. Hi, Bear. Happy to see you.
Hi everyone, hi Septi, welcome back. I hope you have a great summer, recharge energy. Yeah, for intentions and distractions, intentions. Yeah, I'm just like curious, and I would like to think with everyone about the future for transparency. I think this could be like a really good, with all the changes happening in the TEC. I think this could be like a good moment, to a good opportunity to rethink and plan again, like how do we want to move forward. So I think that could be really interesting for everyone to share their thoughts on that. And for distractions, I don't really have one, so yeah, I'll pass it back to you, Septi.
Thanks, Bear. Yeah, regarding like the audit, Ivy mentioned the video. I mean, ideally, like if it was too biased, I mean, I do not remember the video right now. I would love if like someone would just edit the video or just redo it like without the bias. I really think like it's an important piece of the audit, like the analysis. That being said, I mean, it is what it is. Then yeah, I also agree with what Barry was just saying. Like we need to rethink transparency. I was just chatting with Ivy. Maybe what we could do for now, like I mean, all the changes in the TC are happening right now. So maybe we could make like a small proposal for September and October. Like right now, actually, like we have budget to cover all the expenses, but mine, which is it's okay. So you guys should not worry at all. You will get paid, and at least for September, and then yeah, like my idea was like making a small proposal just to get covered like this September and October, and then maybe like I was even thinking like maybe we don't need more audits. Like I I mean, I feel like it's something we should chat with the stewards. I really want to sync up with Griff personally, and then started thinking how what do we do with transparency. Maybe like it's like maybe like we got the structure, what is what we wanted, and right now it's just maintain, which maintain is so much cheaper. We don't need someone leading it. Like we just need people, like we got recordings, so Bear is doing recordings, and we don't even need to sync to those. Like Ivy is updating the decision tracking, NT is doing events, Rex is taking care of the master sheet. Like all this documentation is going to be there, and if anyone wants to know anything, like we have the capacity to point them out. Because right now, like I mean, I was doing leading tasks, like I don't know, like the Aragon task, like the ABC page, all that stuff. But I mean, it's being carried by transparency. I don't know if it's transparency theory. I mean, what I'm thinking is like that. Like we should like probably rethink transparency. Maybe maybe like there's something I'm not seeing, and then maybe like Griff or maybe someone else also knows like, oh, it'd be so cool if transparency, Ivy was saying like facilitates the documentation and make it more accessible. Maybe creating or updating the thesis source, working a little bit Gitbook, stuff like that. Maybe there's stuff to do there. But I'm not so sure. So I really like to talk with someone like Griff or I don't know, with more leadership role to have more guidance, like and direction on what we're doing. And yeah, that's pretty much it regarding like the near future. I mean, I don't know if you guys agree, like making a small proposal just to make sure, like we can keep the ball rolling for this 2 months, and then we see the thesis direction. I don't know. Let's go around on that. Like, what do you guys think? I'll pass it to.
Sorry. Yeah, I think we should list down first the current things that we're doing in transparency and decide what should be what we should maintain in the next couple of months, and so we can decide on how much we would need for those like maintenance in transparency. Of course, the video recording, we would need budget for it, and like yes, as I said earlier, I think we can also focus on. I know we have Gitbook, but I don't know who's updating it or if it's still being updated. But I feel like one of the things or the heart of transparency is in the documentation and making it accessible to everyone in the community. I think that's still the goal for transparency. While we're still deciding on we will continue the audit or starting a new what do you call this, a new project for transparency. But in the next 2 months, if we don't have a lot of budget, maybe we can focus more on the documentation first and make sure that for example, I was Wanka was asking me about the salary of the individual salary, because he would need it in the gravity in a conflict in the gravity DAO. But maybe I wasn't just very involved. But I mean, if he can't find it, that means other members of the community can't find it as well, right? So if this information is readily available and accessible in our platforms, he shouldn't be asking me because it's there. So I thought that, oh, maybe our documentations are not very accessible to everyone. So that's one thing that I would suggest to add in our budget proposal.
Yeah. Anyone else wants to share?
Yeah, I can share some ideas, some things. I think it's a good idea what you guys are saying. I be this creating this list of the different tasks and activities that are under transparency, and just like take a good look at them and see who's being responsible for that, and if it's actually being accessible for the rest of the community to get that information. I think that would be important. And yeah, if necessary, I to be honest, I really haven't taken a look at the funds that we have left. But if we can use those to maintain everything while we figure out more like the medium longer term pathway for transparency, I think that would be good. Like trying to ask the less we can from the common pool, I think that would be a good idea. And then more for the longer term, so I've been having this thought and this idea that Septi has said before really resonates with me, and I totally agree. This idea of like mutual monitoring around the community to achieve transparency, I think that's really powerful and super important. So I don't know, maybe a possibility or the way I see it is that maybe in the future, um, transparency could become more into practices, into part of the culture almost, something implicit in the culture of the TEC, and maybe not so much of a working group, that is kind of like, I feel, like more like centralized and has this role of like um, overlooking that everything in the community is transparent. I think it would be even better to take it like a step further and just make like this practice of being transparent in all the activities we do, in all the working groups we have, in everything, to have this principle really really part of the culture and part of the people. So I think that could be really interesting option to figure out how can we do that. And then of course there will be like some really specific activities or initiatives that could come up from that, like recordings and that kind of stuff. Maybe those could maybe be, I've been thinking like two options. They could maybe be under like a different group, like more of an independent initiative that could fall into some other working group, or more like an independent initiative that just falls under the TEC, like in order to keep the transparency around in the community, we need to do the recordings, right? So we just like submit that proposal specifically, and that's it. And also do the same thing with other type of initiatives that we could think that are important to achieve transparency. But overall, I feel like this idea of trying to make transparency more into a practice, into a daily practice, than into like a specific group of people uh, trying to enforce that. I think it would be really interesting, and could be a good idea to try out. I don't know if Anty, you wanna.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, I was a bit distracted. I'm not sure. I heard a few of the things you said, and I agree with them. I also think that it's going like it would be pretty smart to talk with Griff and all the other stewards on just how they see transparency fitting. Because even though a lot of things are changing, I don't think like I just see transparency being needed more and more. And maybe perhaps we can find some things that aren't being taken care of right now, but that are absolutely necessary. Just like what Ivy said of taking care of documentation and making other forms of information more accessible. Um, I also believe that we should keep doing the audit, not with the same frequency, um, and probably not with the same format. But I still see a lot of value on having, say, two reports a year on mostly focused on financial and economics of the DAO. Because in fact, if I remember very good that when we made the first audit, that we noticed that we were spending way too much. That's when the conversations around getting it together across the whole DAO started. So we made a really great service. We made the very first step towards just acknowledging how we were operating, and I would love to see us doing that over and over again. Um, and yeah, in my personal side, again, there's the calendar. There's a bot that also adds the calendar events to the Discord events, and it's way cheaper than what we are paying now to do that. So that's something we can explore. That's going to lower our budget as well, just a bit, but still something. Um, and yeah, one of my main things with transparency is that it feels like it's very seasonal work. So we don't do pretty much anything until the audit comes over, and then we have to rush to do the audit. And so if we were to find a way that we could be working um, working more stable in some ways, just so that we can have those hours parked for transparency, whether that's the audit or other work. Um, I would personally appreciate that because I find myself um, spending my time in other working groups, and then all of a sudden I have to cancel plans and start working on the audit. So if I know I can spend, say, 5 hours a week just in transparency, I can do that um, throughout the whole year and stuff. And it's sure that I have those hours for transparency. And yeah, I don't know. Back to you, Septi.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. I actually resonate with mostly everyone. I really I really like this idea better of mutual monitoring. The thing is also uh, there's some stuff like recordings, and it doesn't matter if it's called transparency, if it's called operations, if it's called whatever. Like the name, honestly, it doesn't matter. And then like also another thing, like the master sheet needs to keep updated. So I mean, I agree with you. Ideally, like the community is looking on that mutual monitoring, making sure like the numbers are correct. Every working group or every everyone is updating their sheet, all the stuff, uh, and it's accurate. But also, like being honest, like is people going to do that? I'm not so sure. Ideally, yes, and I think that would be a good solution. Like like the structure is there, and then like when we have it, and then yeah, for you, Anti, like you're saying, like you would like more like stable thing, and I think like again, like what we should do first is like have a direction, and when we have a direction, we know like you want to commit like X amount of hours, and then we can just load you for this amount of hours, which is great, and thank you. Um, yeah, but right now, like we need a direction. I was even thinking, like like not making the audit, like because like how many people is reading? Like it takes so much work, and the idea is like people use the information, and then and again, like, I'm like you, and I see a lot of value on the audit, but the value is there, but if it's not being used, it's like waste. So even if the value is there, like if we're wasting it, we're wasting resources, which is bad. I was also thinking at some point, like, maybe like, we have this structure. Maybe we don't need the audit anymore. Like we have the master sheet, we have the decision tracking doc, we have the multi-sig doc. Like we have like all these docs that are getting updated time to time. The credentials, like all that stuff, like it's getting under control. So if anyone in the community asks, like we can just point them out where the information is, which is fine. We don't need to have it all in one document. Or yes, I mean, I don't know. Like I actually would like feedback from the community, but I feel like people isn't reading it. And the idea with the audit was like, foster this mutual monitoring, like people reading the audit and saying, oh yes, this working group is doing great, this not so much, blah blah blah. But then no one is like, the audit is there, and like there's no discussion around it. So if there's no discussion around the audit, then the point fails. Like, what's the point of making an audit and then if no one's talking? Like, it's like people is trusting transparency, STUT, which makes it very centralized, as Vera was mentioning, which is not what I want to create. And yeah, honestly, like what I feel we need is like have a direction. But in order to have that, I really need to talk with someone with more leadership role than me. And yeah, that's it for like transparency future. Next, like right now, we're also working on the advanced page. I have a meeting with Mateo and Nagen tomorrow. It looks like, I mean, I was very offline, but it looks like Mateo is getting everything done. So we might have the advanced page soon, which is great. We have the budget to pay it, which is also great. But then, the other thing was that like making a proposal for 2 months, which seems that you guys agree. I'll probably do it today if no one objects. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, Rex is also working on the Discord bot. That at some point that will be paid by Give when it's done. I mean, I also told Rex we have the money, which is true. Like we have the money, it's fine.
Just one quick thing.
Yeah.
I just noticed we have Rather Mercurial here. He's been hanging around the TC for some time now. I don't know if you want to, present yourself here and even comment or anything. I'm pretty sure anything you have to say will be very much appreciated here.
Thank you much. I'm just listening for now. I'm sort of doing some research in some other DAOs and trying to just take notes and see what's going on in the TEC. I am an information management person though, so if y'all need a hand with like updating Gitbook, any sort of docs, and you're short on folks, just feel free to ping me. But otherwise, I'm just listening. Thank you.
Cool. Well, if you happen to have any opinion or just any question, just unmute yourself and interrupt us with. There's no problem with that.
Will do. Thank you.
Yeah. So on the thing you said, Septi, about the audits, one thing I think that is the biggest issue with that is that the audit we are currently making is way too broad. Like we are including way too many things that, even though that's great because we are setting those things in stone in an audit that's not going to be changed and that people can come back and look at it. It's are things that people don't necessarily find valuable. Just like you said, that there's value in it, but no one is using it. So what's the matter? What I think we should do is probably just this would probably need some feedback from some other folks, but I'm thinking on the long run the most value is on the financials, and so an audit that's just small and has say 2 or 3 sections, but those sections are just pure gold for the DAO. Say like for example, Sample has used the data from our audits, but they have only used the data from the token, for example, and all the stuff. So if we can do that, that would be excellent. Also, because I think Greg said once that for financial data, he could just press a button on Dune Analytics and download everything. So the audit would be pretty much done in a few seconds if it was
Yeah,
just financial data.
actually, we have some scripts now. Like me and Rex were working like before I leave, like on all the data, and he actually like have some script like all now like the data from pulling it out. But then at some point, like we have like one script to pull the all the data from Dune, but then we also have like another script to pull data from T-Work, so you can kind of sync the concept with the numbers. But there's still like manual work to do there, like we pull all the data, but then we spend like a whole Saturday, both of us together, uh, just filling the blanks and making sure like the data was accurate, all that stuff. But it's very, it's just, I mean, I said we did in a Saturday, which is like crazy. Like it was one day, all the data.
Yeah,
It's good enough. It's good enough.
yeah, right. I think that's for future audits we could just do them.
I'm just thinking what about what NT said, like our audit is like it's too broad, and I feel like it's we're presenting a huge chunk of data in each audit. Maybe we should, I don't know if it's it makes sense, but maybe we should try to do it like in uh smaller batches. Like how often do we report this financial data? Maybe the community is not interested because we're giving them so much data for the past 3 months, and they don't know what to do with the data in January anymore. What about we do it like every month and do it, and maybe it's a lighter work for us to just have a financial report every month and just present it to the community. Maybe they'll be more interested in smaller batches of data. I don't know if we have done it or if we're doing it at least in community calls, presenting this information. And I think also the other, aside from financial data, though we have the decision tracking sheet. So I don't know. I think it's also important that we share the decisions that decisions that we make in the community are transparent. Though we have the tracking sheet, maybe we should have a different kind of presentation just to inform the community. These are the decisions that we have done in the past month. And yeah, my thoughts.
Something that I just remembered. So last week on one of the stewards call, they were talking about instead of like right now we have very short-sighted goals. Like we set up goals every 2 weeks for the sprint. In the stewards call, they were proposing that we start having like more mid to long-term visions in goals. So they proposed something like having some goals for each quarter, for each 4 months, and then just work towards them, and just have everyone in the community on the same page to work towards them. And I'm thinking maybe that's the right fit for us. So um, maybe the audit can be centered around those goals. In when when the when that period ends, we present a report that shows what goals did we meet and which goals we didn't meet, aside with probably some financials, because I guess some of the goals are going to be tied to the economic layer. Um, and I don't know. I think that actually would be cool and provide a lot of value to sort of complement this new quote unquote roadmap.
Yeah, so if that's the approach that the whole community is trying to do, like I agree that we should be aligned with what the other working groups are doing. So if we're doing like a long-term planning, long-term, then we should do the audit. Like we should match our audit in this in the duration of their in the timeline of their initiatives as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also agree 100% with that, Inti, that I think we should make the work in transparency, what you guys are saying, like be valuable and actually have some utility for the rest of the community, right? So in order for that to happen, I think there needs to be some communication and some alignment with the rest of the working groups, with the stewards. So yeah, I think it would be also really interesting to bring up this topic of the direction, not just in regards to the audit, right, but in regards to transparency, to bring up this topic with, like Septi was saying, with Griff and with all the stewards. I think everyone could have a really interesting opinion to have. I'm thinking maybe to have a session in SoftGov with Libby about this topic could be really beneficial and really interesting. And then just the other thought that I wanted to share is, yes, I think for the audit we should start doing this, and we should find a different format. And I think in this different format, in my opinion, I think we should stop calling it audit, because if we are for real, it is really not an audit, right? Like if you look at the actual audits in the traditional world, they are completely different, and I don't think it would be really responsible maybe to keep calling them like that, and more if we're trying to focus more into the financials. I think just calling them financial reports, financial statements, something like that, I think it would be better, because I think part of this transparency aspect, I think, should be to be careful with the words we use, and the image we use, so there's no like confusion or misunderstanding of what we're doing, right? So whatever format we do decide to do, and how doesn't really matter how often we do it. I think we should just be calling them in a different way. So yeah, just those two thoughts.
I actually disagree with that. Like an audit is like, and like make sure like something is going, like like, and in a DAO you have very different processes as you have in a company. So like in a company you audit, like the things you have with the government. Like we don't do that stuff because we don't care. We just analyze like our processes, our money, and for me that's an audit. I mean, probably a cultural thing. Maybe like in Spain, audit means one thing, and I think you were in Mexico, it's another thing. I mean, I don't know.
No, the only thing I mean is like, what I mean is like, there are professionals that actually do audits, right? Like if we would go to a professional,
Oh, you mean
they
like that? But you mean for the code, like.
right, that's also like a difference, right? You can also have audits for the code, right? So
Yeah, I
no,
mean,
I mean more
yeah.
like for the organization. I think if we would go for with a professional in organizational audits, they would tell us that, because I don't think anyone here is like a professional auditor
I,
and have done audits before, right?
Actually, I did. I was working on banking like when I was younger.
Oh, okay, nice.
But yeah, I mean, we don't do that bullshit. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think all of us can think like whatever we want. I think it's more about thinking about the image we give to the others, and I'm just mentioning this based on like the like the discontent or like the confusion from the community around the audit, that wasn't really clear what was covering and what was like included in it. So just trying to make it like simpler, and trying to make it more understandable
But
for everyone.
where's
That was the
where's that
intention.
feedback? Where's that feedback? I don't know. Like you're saying, like people watch this confirm, but then where's the feedback?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't much feedback. There was more like comments during this month, where we tried to pull it out, and I mean, I can tell you, like I myself, I can include myself in those people that I just didn't feel like super uh, comfortable with the work and the way
Yeah,
we were like approaching it. So that's why I'm just like proposing to
yeah. I mean, I can't agree,
prove
but
it.
I love to see those comments somewhere. Like the feedback is nice, but if we, I mean, but I don't know. So.
Yeah, I mean, like it was during this month that you want to accept
Yeah.
this, and it was
This-
more like people just like talking during calls, and it was kind of like harder to track. And I don't think anyone actually wrote anything about it, and that's a problem, right? Because it's harder to detect all the feedback. But I mean, I guess that was just like my point, like on the I don't think it's a super big deal. I'm just mentioning that I think we should be careful with the naming, and also now that you're saying that audits in DAOs are different, maybe there's already like
I mean, there's no
formal
audits in Laos. Like,
professionals that do audits in DAOs that maybe we could reference to.
no, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's not. Like, we're the first
There's
ones.
right. Then I mean, in my opinion, that's all. That's all I think.
I mean, I love to see the feedback. I actually didn't read the audit, and there was things like Ivy was telling me, like the video was removed on the on the analysis, which I kind of disagree to. Like, I feel like if it was to, I actually say on the video, like it's made by me. It's some things are my opinion. But if the team decides it's too biased, I think like the solution is not just delete it. The solution is like edit or redo or whatever. But if we agree to the community, like we are going to provide an analysis or some kind of video or whatever, like we have to deliver. And I really disagree with the decision we took there. But it is what it is. I was not there, so I couldn't say my opinion. But I mean, again, I didn't read the audit, so I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I can add more information to it. So it was one of the options to just edit the video, but again, we didn't have enough time. We want to publish the audit, and if you would, we wanted to take out some of the opinions, but yeah, the easiest and fastest way to do it is just to take it out and present the Dune. Create a different link for the Dune analytics that will only show the data. But we also considered because we don't want to put it to go into waste this video, and we would love to have it there also like a different kind of presentation of data. But yeah, the thing is, no one can do it. No one has the time to do it, and yeah, so that's why we opted to creating a different link with the filtered data dates for the audit data that you want to present. So that's what happened.
Okay, yeah, I see. I mean, I'll do my best with the. I mean, I think it's not in the forum yet. I'll try to put it on the forum this week. I'll do my best with I mean, I feel like the data was pretty accurate. Like at least when I check it with Rex, I was like, okay, that's good enough. I can go on vacay. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like it needs to be seen. Yeah, I mean, I can don't say anything else.
I can suggest that maybe since we have another 2 weeks before our next team sync, maybe we can do async, like make a document and list all the transparency tasks that we're working on, and maybe in the next, and also assess like the pros and cons of each initiative that we're working on, the video recording, the documentation, the audit, and then maybe in our next team call, we can look at that as a team and discuss what we want to keep doing and what we can stop doing for the next 2 months when we since we need to create the budget proposal. I don't know, but I don't know if that's how you see it in
Yeah,
the.
I mean, I was planning to do the proposal today. Like it's 10 days, so the month ends. It will take a couple of days to pass. I mean, I was just planning to do it today.
Don't we want to assess first the things that we're working on transparency and decide what we want to include in the proposal?
I mean, I feel I'm in the known, but I mean, I could use your feedback, but I don't think we need like wait 2 weeks for make a proposal.
Well, we could, just if you want to start with the proposal, you can have the document today, and we can try to gather some feedback to just uh,
Yeah,
finish defining the vision of transparency in this week and post it late this week, early next week, and
that sounds good. That sounds good.
Yeah, I think we could just keep it like async work. Yeah, and also like that the feedback from the stewards and from the other members of the community in regards to the transparency direction, I think would be important to consider before like submitting the proposal. So if we can do that during this week or even next week, I mean, like Ivy was saying, like maybe these 2 weeks can help us achieve that. I don't think why we should like rush, but yeah.
I mean, there's no money to pay. That's why I'm rushing. Other than that, I mean, I feel like what I was saying is like, this is having a different direction. We can just have a 2 month proposal. It won't be like a lot of money, 6K, something like that. We have some money. And yeah, and then people, it's important like people get paid. Otherwise, I don't know, like, I just go work anywhere else and get paid, whatever. It's like I'm not. I actually did a lot of free work on the TC. Then I got money still by the price magazine, blah blah blah. I'm not doing any free work for the TC. I mean, I think that's understandable. So I'm making a proposal 2 months. I mean, it's like, if we want, like, if the community want me to keep working, I mean, I need to get paid. Otherwise, I don't work. I mean, it's simple, and we don't have the money. So, I mean, as I said, we have the money to pay all of you, and for me, it's like if I have to pay someone, I first pay someone, then I pay myself. Like, it's okay, that's fine. But yeah, like, I don't do free work anymore. That's me.
Sorry, but then like I'm a little confused here. Like, is there funding for September for everyone or not?
It's funding for all of you, not for me. Like, all of you will be paid on September. And that's, I mean, I today sent some money to the common pool, sent some money to the transparency multisig, from the job I work in Aragon. Like, I work in Aragon, then they pay me. Then, the work I did for Aragon, I was getting paid like $35 an hour. That money I sent it to transparency because transparency paid me. Then I was also paying Juanca $35 an hour for hosting Paran Party in an organization. And then the rest of the budget, I just send it to the TC as a profit, to the community. But other than that, that's it. Like, we have some more money, but it's still not enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we can start working on the proposal, if you want to do it like, as you said, that it's urgent, then yeah, I mean, we can start this week. But if you can share also with us, so we can put more in feedback, and yeah, like we can work on it async if you want. If you can share the link,
Yeah,
link.
totally. I'll try to have like the proposal today. And I really think like we can do like what Dente said. Like, I'll make it today. We have until I think Thursday, like on the community call, we need to have it done. So it's like I make it today. We have tomorrow and Wednesday for feedback, and then on Thursday upload it. I think that's a good plan. I mean, is anyone objecting that?
No, I'm not. Maybe just like another idea could be something similar to what Mitch is doing with rewards. I think he posted on the forum like a like a proposal for the steward position of the group. Maybe if we're missing those funds here, maybe that could be another option, at least for 1 or 2 months, while we take on the direction for the whole working group.
Yeah, but then next month, like then I have money, but then the rest of the group doesn't have, which doesn't make sense neither. Like guys, you will get paid this month. Like October, there's no money unless we ask for money. And I think like 2 months is not that bad. Like we asked for 2 months. In 2 months, I feel like the TC will have a different direction, and then we move from there. Like, yeah, I mean, I think it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I think yeah, so for the proposal we can start already working on it, but maybe in the next call I think it's still worth it to reassess the things that we're doing in transparency and just like start the discussion as we plan the future roadmap for transparency. Just reassess whatever we're working on, if they're still beneficial to the community as we're changing the direction as well.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I really wanna, think with everyone like in the community. But until that, like we need to get things done, right?
Yeah. Oh, very quickly before we end, because we have just 10 minutes left. Um, Let me share my screen 1 second. So I want to get some feedback on this, and you may as well include that in the proposal if you're going to do it anyways. So okay, 1 second. Okay, so I don't know if you're familiar with this bot that's called Sesh. That's been around for a long time now. That this is a calendar bot for Discord. They recently updated the bot to also be able to put events here. Like you see, these events were added by the bot, and I'm thinking we could use it because right now I'm doing that work, and I don't mind, but it's not like I love to do it, and the bond is also cheaper. It costs just $5 a month, whereas I'm getting paid roughly somewhere between 50 and 70 a month for doing this, for just doing this because it takes me roughly an hour every week. Um, so yeah, we I shared this a few weeks ago, but we decided it was better to have you here and just to consider that for the next proposal. And so, as we are talking about the next proposal, we may as well include $5 more to pay for this bot and just get this going.
Yeah, but is that bot can be paid in crypto?
Uh, I'm not entirely sure. I think not, but worst case scenario, someone pays it with with a debit card and then just gets refunded. I'll look deeper into it today, but yeah.
I mean, I don't like someone putting his personal information. Let's see.
I
Like,
think
I think we can wait on that. It's not like, I
I
mean,
can't
if it,
remember, Zepti. I think we have proposed this in the past in transparency because this is not the first time I heard about this bot, Sesh that bot. But I can't remember if it's in TC or it was in common stock. But yeah, I think it was mentioned before, but I don't know if we just didn't do it and why we didn't do it.
I mean, Anti talked about that like before I went on vacay. About he said like he was doing research. Now he did the research. Now the bot is there, which is great. I mean, the only thing I don't know. Like, I mean, if someone wants to volunteer to put his credit card, great. I mean, we can ask also on the stewards. I mean, Griff puts his credit cards in many places. I'm not going to put mine, that's for sure. But I mean, if someone doesn't mind getting paid and then getting reimbursed with crypto, that'd be awesome. Otherwise, we need to ask for more people. And meanwhile, we get that solved, we need to pay NT. Right? I mean, I think that's a natural way.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll ask whoever is managing that bot on Giveth. How are they doing it? And yeah, just I don't know what. Depending on what they say, we can see what we do.
Okay, sounds good. And if there's not anything else, I think we can wrap up. Like, it was awesome to sing with you guys, and I have better idea on how you guys feel. So then I can, yeah, start thinking on transparency, mid, long term, and yeah, thank you so much, every one of you.
Thank you,
Thanks. Thank you.
Zepti.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.